Ewan woke up early that morning, just like he did every day on the Human Alien Research Station. The soft hum of machines filled his small room. The lights slowly brightened to mimic a sunrise, even though the station floated far from any real sun. Ewan stretched his arms and took a deep breath. Today felt normal at first, but he didn't know that something unusual was waiting for him. He washed his face, put on his simple engineer uniform, and stepped out into the hallway. The station was always busy at this hour. Humans and alien workers moved through the wide corridors, greeting each other with polite nods. Even after 2 years on the station, Yuan still felt a little amazed every time he saw the aliens. Their tall height, glowing skin patterns, and calm expressions always made them look peaceful and wise. Yuan made his way toward the mechanical bay, where he repaired tools, drones, and machinery. He liked his job. It wasn't fancy, but it was honest work, and the station depended on people like him to keep things running as he walked. He heard 2 human scientists whispering behind him. They sounded excited. "Did you see Liara today?" one of them asked. "She looks different," the other replied. "I wonder what she's preparing for." Ewan didn't pay much attention. Liara, the alien diplomat, was always preparing for meetings. She was important, respected, and known for her calm and serious nature. An had spoken to her only a few times, mostly when she needed help with alien communication devices. He reached the mechanical bay door and stepped inside. A few engineers waved at him. N set down his toolkit and started checking the schedule for the day. Then, suddenly the door opened behind him. He turned around and froze. Liara was standing there. Her appearance made him pause. She usually wore simple, smooth robes and quiet colors. But today her outfit had delicate silver lines running across it, glowing softly like starlight. Her hair, usually tied loosely, was carefully braided in a way Un had never seen before. Her facial markings, which changed based on emotion, were brighter than usual. Everything about her looked carefully prepared, almost ceremonial. Un blinked, not knowing what to say. Liara stepped inside with slow, graceful movements. "Good morning, Engineer Ewan," she said in her calm voice. Ewan felt a little nervous. She always spoke politely, but today there was something warm in her tone. Something gentle. "You look different today," Ewan said, the words slipping out before he could think. He meant it honestly. She really did look different. For the first time since he had known her, Liara smiled. It wasn't a big smile, but it was warm enough to surprise him. Her face softened, and her markings glowed even brighter. "I prepared myself this way for you," she replied. Aaron's heart skipped a beat. "For me." Why? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked around the mechanical bay, observing the human engineers working. The tools hanging from walls, the small sparks flying from welding devices. She seemed thoughtful. Finally, she turned back to him. "Walk with me," she said gently. "There is something I must discuss with you." Yuan wasn't sure what to do. He wasn't used to being asked by a high-ranking alien diplomat to go anywhere with her. But Lyra's tone wasn't strict or commanding it. It was polite, almost friendly. "Okay," he said. Wiping his hands and following her out, they walked down the long hallway, passing humans and aliens who gave curious looks. It wasn't every day that Liara walked side by side with a simple engineer. Un felt strangely aware of the attention, but tried to focus on her words. "You must be wondering why I prepared differently today," Liara said as they walked. "Well, yes," Ian admitted. "I didn't expect you to say it was for me," she nodded. "Among my people, changing one's appearance in this way is a sign of respect, sincerity, and purpose. It is done when we intend to speak honestly with someone who has earned our trust." Anne felt confused. "I earned your trust. But I'm just an engineer." Liara stopped in front of a large window overlooking the stars. The view was beautiful. Dozens of distant stars shimmered like tiny crystals on dark velvet. The station lights reflected softly against the glass. She placed her hands behind her back and spoke calmly. "You may not realize it, but trust is not earned through rank or power. It is earned through actions. You once showed great honesty when our station faced a small crisis. Yuan tried to remember what she meant. There had been many problems over the past 2 years. Suddenly, he recalled an incident months ago, minor fault in the climate controls. One alien worker had been wrongly blamed by a human supervisor, and tension had risen. Yuan stepped forward and explained the real cause of the fault. Even though it embarrassed the supervisor and didn't benefit him. I only told the truth, he said quietly. Anyone would have done the same. Liara looked at him with soft eyes. Many would not. When people feel pressure, they often choose silence. But you chose honesty, even when it brought no reward. We value such actions deeply. Unan didn't know what to say. Liara continued, That is why I prepared myself differently today. I intend to ask something important of you. Aaron's thoughts spun. Why him? What could a diplomat want from a simple engineer? His hands felt slightly cold, but he tried to stay calm. What do you need? He finally asked. Liara began walking again, leading him toward the observation deck. The path was quieter here. Only a few aliens passed by, offering respectful nods to Liara. I need your assistance on a matter involving communication between our species, she said. A misunderstanding is formed between some of our diplomats and the Human Council. You understand both our systems and your own people well. Your honesty makes you the right person to help. Un felt overwhelmed. He had never imagined being part of something so important. He always stayed in the background, fixing machines, not dealing with politics or diplomacy. Why not ask a trained human diplomat? He asked. Liara looked at him with a hint of amusement. Because diplomats often speak with caution, fear, or strategy. I need someone who speaks truthfully, someone who sees things as they are. Un felt his face warm. He wasn't used to being praised by someone of her rank. Liara stopped again and faced him. And that is why I prepared myself for you. Appearance is a symbol among my people. I wanted you to know that I approach you today with full sincerity. Un nodded slowly. He was beginning to understand. It was not about admiration or attraction. It was about respect, trust, and a serious request. I'll help you, he said. If you think I can, Lyra's soft smile returned. I do. Together, they stepped onto the observation deck. The wide glass dome above them revealed a breathtaking view of a nearby nebula, glowing blue and purple. Ian felt a sense of calm seeing the view, and for a moment, he forgot his worries. Liara stood beside him silently for a few seconds, then spoke again. And today's only the beginning. What we work on together may shape future relations between our species. Ian swallowed nervously. The responsibility sounded enormous, but Liara placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Do not fear, she said. I will guide you. You are not alone in this. Her words were steady, comforting, and warm. Un felt a strange sense of courage rise inside him. Maybe he wasn't just an ordinary engineer after all. Maybe his small actions mattered more than he thought as they stood there. Watching the nebula glow, Yuan realized that his life on the station was about to change forever. And though he didn't know what challenges lay ahead, he felt ready to step forward because someone believed in him, and that someone was Liara. Eon stood beside Liara on the observation deck, still trying to understand everything she had said. The nebula outside the glass dome glowed softly, like moving clouds of blue and purple light. Standing there made him feel small, but in a peaceful way. The space outside was endless, yet strangely calm. Liara remained silent for a moment. She often took these quiet pauses, as if she was arranging her thoughts carefully before speaking. Her calm nature always made Unan feel relaxed, even when the conversation was serious. Finally, she turned to him. Then there is something important I must explain. What I ask from you is not simple. Yuan nodded slowly. I'll listen. Liara walked a few steps forward, stopping near the center of the deck. Her robe moved gently, the soft lights on it shimmering like tiny stars. A misunderstanding has grown between my people and the Human Council. It began small, almost invisible, but now it is becoming a barrier. Yuan frowned. A misunderstanding about what? About intentions, she said. My people show emotions differently. Humans often misunderstand our calmness as coldness, or our sincerity as formality. And we sometimes misunderstand humans' fast emotions as impatience or uncertainty. Unthought for a moment, he had noticed those differences too. Sometimes humans laughed loudly, spoke quickly, or expressed opinions strongly. Aliens, on the other hand, spoke gently and moved slowly, like every gesture had meaning. He could see how misunderstandings might grow between such different behaviors. Liara continued. The Council believes we are hiding something from them. They say we avoid giving clear answers. But in our culture, giving a fast answer without reflection is considered disrespectful. We prefer to think deeply before speaking. So the Council sees that as avoiding the truth, Yuan said. She nodded. Yes, and some of our diplomats now feel that the humans do not trust us. In folded his arms, thinking, and you want me to? Help with this? I want you to be a bridge, she said. You understand humans well, and you also understand our communication devices and methods. You see things without bias. That is rare. Un looked at his hands. He was just a mechanic, someone who spent most of his day fixing engines and machines. He wasn't used to important roles. He wasn't trained in diplomacy. The idea of being a bridge between species felt almost too big for him. Liara, are you sure I'm the right person? He asked gently. I'm not an expert in communication or politics. Liara stepped closer, her voice soft. Let me tell you a story. Yuan blinked. Liara rarely spoke about personal things. She was usually formal and careful with her words. So he listened closely. When I was young, she began, I was not confident in my abilities. I felt smaller than others. I often believed that my voice did not matter. But my mentor told me something. The universe listens to those who speak with truth. Even if their voice is quiet, her eyes softened. You have that same quiet truth on. You do not pretend. You do not speak only to impress. That is why I came to you. Un felt a warmth spread across his chest. Her words were gentle, but powerful, and he could tell she meant every one of them. What exactly do you need me to do? He asked. Liara gestured toward a small round table near the glass wall. Sit with me. I will explain everything. They sat across from each other. The table lit up as it sensed their presence. Projecting soft holograms of symbols and communication logs, Liara placed her hand above the hologram, and the symbols rearranged themselves into two colors, blue for humans, green for aliens. These are the recent communication exchanges, she said. Notice the patterns. Yuan leaned forward. He saw that the human messages were direct, short, and full of action words. The alien messages were longer, with carefully chosen phrases and gentle expressions. I see the problem, Yuan said. Humans read the alien messages as too slow. Aliens read the human messages as too forceful. Yes, Liara replied. And now both sides feel that the other is not listening. And thought for a moment. So what do you want me to do? I want you to help create a new communication approach, she said. Something simple, clear, and respectful to both sides. Something that removes confusion. I nodded slowly. I can try. But why involve me in meetings? Why not just ask for my help with the system? Liara folded her hands gently. Because your presence matters, Un. Humans listen to someone they can relate to. And my people will trust someone who speaks sincerely, even if he is not trained. Yuan let out a slow breath. He felt nervous, but also strangely honored. This was bigger than fixing a machine. This was helping two species understand each other. When is the meeting? He asked. Liara looked at him with a calm but serious expression. Today. Ayan nearly choked. Today, as in soon. In 1 hour, she confirmed. Un ran a hand through his hair. Liara, I don't have time to prepare. You have been preparing since the day you arrived here, she said gently. You observe people. You understand them. That is enough. And stood up and paced a little. But what if I say something wrong? Liara followed him with her eyes. If you speak from honesty, you will not be wrong. He stopped, looking at her. Her confidence in him was almost unbelievable. Nobody had ever trusted him like this before. "How will I know what to say?" he asked. Liara stood up as well. "You will sit beside me during the meeting. I will lead the discussions. You will step in only when you feel necessary. I will guide you with signals." Ian nodded, still nervous but slowly gaining courage. Liara placed her hand near her chest, a gesture of gratitude in her culture. "Thank you, Yuen. You do not know how important this is." He gave a small smile. "I'll do my best." They walked back through the corridor together. People watched them pass, whispering quietly, and usually blended into the background. But walking beside Liara made him feel as if everyone could see him. Halfway down the corridor, Ian spoke again. "Liara, earlier, when you said you prepared yourself for me, I was confused. I didn't understand." She looked at him gently. "In my culture, appearance reflects intention. I wanted you to know I approached you with respect and sincerity. So it wasn't something personal?" he asked cautiously. She smiled softly. "It was meaningful, but not in the way humans often assume. It was a sign of trust." Yuen nodded. That explanation made perfect sense now. They reached the meeting hall, a large room with curved walls and a high glass ceiling. Soft lights flickered like tiny stars. Humans sat on one side of the oval table, aliens on the other. The air felt tense, as if everyone was waiting for something to go wrong. Aaron's heart started beating fast. Liara noticed and leaned closer. "Breathe," she whispered. "You are not alone." Her calm voice steadied him. The doors opened fully, and everyone turned to look at them. Liara entered with graceful steps, and Yuen followed her quietly. Whispering spread across the room, but Liara remained steady. She led Un to a seat beside her. He sat down, trying not to look too nervous. Liara began speaking to the whole room in her calm, steady voice. "Thank you all for gathering. Today, we begin a new effort to understand each other better." Ian sat quietly, listening, waiting for the moment when he might need to speak. He didn't know what challenges the meeting would bring, but he knew one thing. Liara trusted him, and he was ready to try. Yoon sat stiffly at the long oval table, his hands resting on his knees, trying hard not to look as nervous as he felt. The room around him was silent, except for the soft hum of the ventilation system. Humans sat on one side, their expressions alert, focused, and slightly tense. The aliens sat on the other side, calm and still, their glowing markings shifting gently, like moving reflections of light. Liara sat beside him, her posture relaxed, her face peaceful. Ian noticed how she adjusted her robe slightly, folding it neatly over her legs, a small gesture that somehow made him feel more at ease. She looked at him briefly, and although she didn't speak, her eyes carried reassurance as if saying, "You are doing well." The meeting began slowly. At first, only the diplomats spoke. A human council member, Mr. Benton, leaned forward. "We've received your reports," he said to the alien side, "but many of our questions remain unanswered." "Your replies feel unclear," an alien diplomat responded calmly. "We answer with care. We do not wish to give fast words that may create confusion or offense." Un watched the exchange carefully. It was exactly what Liara had explained earlier. The humans wanted quick, direct answers. The aliens wanted thoughtful, gentle responses. Neither side was wrong, but their communication styles kept clashing. Liara stepped in. "This is part of the misunderstanding," she said softly. "We interpret fast responses as lack of reflection. You interpret slow responses as avoidance." The humans murmured among themselves. The aliens remained still and listened, absorbing everything. Then, suddenly, Lyra's hand moved slightly, a small signal to him. It was so subtle that no one else would have noticed. She wanted him to speak. His heart jumped. He swallowed nervously. He cleared his throat. "If I may say something," he began. Everyone turned to look at him even, the people who had ignored him when he entered. Yuen felt his face warm, but he forced himself to continue. I work with both human and alien technology, he said, and I noticed something. Humans communicate like fixing an engine. Fast steps. Clear instructions. Straight to the result. Few human diplomats smiled slightly at the comparison, but aliens communicate like balancing energy lines, UN continued. You take your time. You make sure every detail is correct before you move forward. Liara looked at him approvingly. UN added, neither way is wrong. They're just different. And maybe both sides are judging each other without understanding the reason behind the style. Silence filled the room for a moment. Then a human councilwoman nodded slowly. That actually makes sense, an alien diplomat added. A fair explanation. And felt a wave of relief wash over him. The discussion continued for more than an hour. Liara led the conversation with patience and grace. Whenever a human made a strong point, she acknowledged it gently. Whenever an alien's response confused the humans, she rephrased it in clearer terms. She acted like a bridge comm, steady, wise. UN noticed something unusual. People on both sides began listening. Really listening. The room no longer felt tense. It felt cooperative. And UN found himself speaking several more times. Not big speeches, but small comments and examples that helped both sides understand each other better. Each time he spoke, Liara gave him a tiny, encouraging glance. Each time he finished, at least one diplomat nodded approvingly by the end of the meeting. The atmosphere had shifted completely. When the meeting ended, the room began to empty. Some humans walked up to UN and thanked him. A few aliens gave respectful nods. UN felt overwhelmed by the attention. He had never been in such an important meeting before, when everyone else had left. Liara remained seated. UN sat beside her, feeling both tired and proud. You did well. She said softly. I was nervous the whole time, he admitted. Nervousness does not reduce truth, she replied. You spoke clearly and honestly. That is what we needed. In smiled a little. Thank you for trusting me. You've earned that trust, she said. They stood up from the table and walked out of the hall together. The corridor outside was quieter now, almost peaceful. UN felt lighter, but also uncertain about what came next. Liara gestured for him to walk with her again, and they moved down the long hallway. As they walked, she spoke in a thoughtful tone. There is something else I must tell you. An looked at her curiously. What is it? She paused before answering. My people value emotional balance. We do not often express feelings openly. But when we work closely with someone, something begins to change within us. We start to understand emotions in new ways. An listened carefully. Liara rarely talked about herself or her people in such a personal tone. I have spent many hours observing humans. She continued. Your emotions are fast, but they are also warm. You connect quickly, and you show care easily. It is different for us. Do you find it difficult? UN asked gently. Not difficult, she said softly. Just unfamiliar. And yet, something interesting has happened. She stopped walking and turned to face him. Working with you has taught me how valuable small, honest emotions can be. You do not hide them. You do not pretend. That honesty has helped me understand humans better. UN felt slightly embarrassed. I'm just being myself. That's exactly why it matters, she said. You do not realize how easily trust forms around you. They resumed walking. As they reached the observation deck again, Liara stood in front of the wide glass window. The nebula outside glowed brightly, casting soft colors across the floor. An stood next to her, letting the view calm him. Liara spoke again. There will be more meetings in the coming days. Many more. Today was only the first step. UN nodded. I understand. I would like you to be part of all of them, she said. Together, we can help both sides find common ground. An felt a sudden mix of pride and fear. It was a big responsibility. Bigger than anything he had ever done. But when he looked at Liara, he remembered how much she had trusted him since the beginning. I'll do it, he said confidently. Lyra's markings glowed a little brighter. I am grateful. They stood together in silence for a moment, watching the nebula swirl outside the glass. Ian wondered how such a peaceful view could exist in a universe full of differences and misunderstandings. But maybe that was the beauty of it, differences could be connected, just like stars connected to form constellations. UN finally spoke. Liara, do you think humans and your people will ever understand each other fully? She looked at him, her expression soft. Understanding is not a destination, she replied. It is a path, and every step matters. And today was a step? Yes, she said. A very important one. UN smiled. I'm glad I could help. Liara gently touched her hand to her chest, a gesture of respect. You did more than help. You changed the direction of this conversation. Yun felt a warm sense of accomplishment as they left the observation deck together. He realized something surprising. He no longer felt like a simple engineer in the background. He felt like someone who could make a difference. And the bond between him and Liara, built through trust, honesty and understanding, was growing stronger with each passing moment. The next few days passed quickly, and each day was busier than the last. Ian found himself attending more meetings than he had ever imagined. Humans and aliens gathered in the same room, speaking carefully, sometimes disagreeing, sometimes finding new understanding. And through it all, Liara guided the discussions with calm wisdom, while Un supported her by explaining things in simple ways. But on the fifth day, everything changed. It began early in the morning. Ewan had just finished fixing a damaged scanner in the lower deck when the lights above him flickered. The flicker was small at first, just a quick dimming, but then it happened again, longer this time. The hum of the machines around him grew uneven, almost trembling. Ewan frowned. That's not normal. He tapped his wrist communicator. Engineering to control room? Is everything stable up there? Only static came through. That was unusual too. He tried again. Control room, do you read me? Still silence. Aaron's heart tightened. Something was wrong. He rushed down the narrow corridor toward the nearest lift. As he stepped inside, the lift door closed slowly, almost struggling. Even the movement felt heavy, like the station itself was tired. When the lift reached the command level, Un stepped out and found the corridor filled with tense voices and hurried footsteps. Humans and aliens both looked confused, some speaking into their communicators, others checking wall panels and screens. UN grabbed a passing technician. What's happening? The technician wiped sweat from his forehead. The central communication core is unstable. Power levels are jumping up and down. If it fails completely, all human-alien systems will disconnect. And felt a cold wave run through him. If communication shuts down, the council meetings, they'll fall apart, the technician said. Each side might think the other is hiding something. It could destroy days of progress. And wasted no time. He ran toward the control room. He found Liara already there, along with several diplomats from both sides. The air inside the room felt heavy with worry. The large central screen displayed a flashing red warning. Core sector unstable. System failure imminent. Liara turned when she saw him enter. Her calm expression had changed. She looked concerned, something Un had rarely seen. Un, she said. The core is failing. I can see that, he replied. What caused it? We do not know, she said. Some believe it was sabotage, but there is no proof yet. A human council member stepped forward. If we lose communication, we lose trust. We need a solution immediately, an alien diplomat added. The core must be stabilized from the inside. But the energy levels are volatile. Going in would be dangerous. Hyun took a deep breath. Then I'll go. Everyone turned toward him at once. Liara stepped closer, her voice low but firm. It is extremely dangerous. The energy waves inside the core can damage the body. Even a small mistake could cause an explosion, I know, Uwan said. But I also know the structure better than anyone here. I've repaired it before. I can handle it. A human councilman shook his head. We can send a drone. Oh, no, Un replied. The system's too sensitive. Drones can't make manual adjustments with the precision needed. It has to be someone who understands the machinery. Liara looked at him for a long moment. Her eyes were filled with worry, but also something deeper trust. "Then I will go with you," she said. Aaron's eyes widened. "Liara, no. It's too dangerous." "My people helped build the core," she said. "There are parts only I can adjust. This is our responsibility together." Council members from both sides began arguing, some insisting it was too risky, others saying it was necessary. But Un and Liara exchanged one look. They both knew their choice was already made. They prepared quickly. Unan put on a protective suit that could resist high-energy waves, though not forever. Liara wore a specialized robe embedded with stabilizing crystals from her planet, designed for high-energy environments. Her robe shimmered with soft blue light. Together, they stepped into the elevator that led to the core sector. The ride down was silent. Halfway there, Liara finally spoke. Are you frightened?" He exhaled slowly. "A little, maybe more than a little." "It is not wrong to feel fear," she said. "Fear means the moment is important." He looked at her. "Are you scared?" "Yes," she said honestly. "But I am also calm. Because I am not alone." Udan felt a strange warmth in his chest. Her words, simple and gentle, always seemed to steady him. The lift doors opened, releasing a wave of heat and flickering blue sparks. The core sector looked like a storm trapped inside metal walls. Energy lines pulsed violently, lights flashed in broken rhythm. The deep rumbling of unstable power echoed through the large chamber. Yuan took a deep breath. "Here we go." They stepped inside. The heat was intense, and the vibrations shook the floor under their feet. Ian led the way to the main console. Typing quickly to open the system's manual override. "We need to redirect the energy flow," Ian said. "If the pressure builds any more, the core will overload." "I will stabilize the outer rings," Liara said. "They are not responding normally." They moved in sync, like they had worked together for years instead of days. Yuan connected his tools to the main panel. Sparks flew, and the lights flickered dangerously. "Come on, hold together." Liara moved to the opposite side, placing her hands over the glowing ring. Her crystals pulsed with light, mixing with the core's energy. The unstable wave began to steady just a little. "Good," Yuan said. "Keep doing that." But suddenly an alarm blared. Energy surge detected. Core imbalance critical. The room trembled violently. A bright flash erupted from the upper coils, sending a shockwave across the chamber. Ian stumbled backward, but Liara caught his arm, steadying him. "Are you hurt?" she asked urgently. "No, I'm fine." "But we're running out of time." They rushed to the central platform. Aaron's suit vibrated with rising energy. "If we don't fix this in 2 minutes, the whole system collapses." Liara nodded firmly. "Tell me what to do." "Hold the stabilizing field," Un said. "If you can keep the energy from spiking, I can reroute it manually." Liara moved quickly, her markings glowing brighter than ever before. She raised her arms, and a wave of calm energy expanded from her crystals. Pressing against the violent storm of the core, Ian climbed onto the main beam, gripping a railing for balance as he reached the most unstable circuit. He plugged in his manual override tool and began turning the energy valves. The pressure fought back like a living force, pushing against his every movement. "Come on. Just a little more." Leora's voice rang out. The surge is rising." "Hurry, I'm trying." The beam shook beneath him. His arms burned from the effort. Sparks burst around his hands. But he didn't stop. Finally, with one final turn, the energy line snapped into place. A deep, echoing sound filled the chamber like a giant. Exhaling, the light steadied. The shaking stopped. The core glowed with calm. Steady light again. Liara lowered her arms, breathing heavily. Her crystals dimmed slowly. Yuan climbed down from the beam, exhausted but smiling. "We did it." Liara stepped toward him, her expression filled with relief. "Yes, together." For a long moment, they simply stood there, breathing in the calm after the storm. Then Liara spoke softly. "You showed great courage today." "So did you," Un said. "I wouldn't have managed without you." She looked at him with quiet emotion. Our bond grows stronger each day. I am grateful for it." Un felt the same, though he didn't know how to put it into words. Standing next to her, in the glow of the stabilized core, he realized something important. He wasn't just helping fix machines anymore. He was helping build trust, understanding, peace. And this moment working side by side with Lyra was one he knew he would never forget. Part 5 begins with a calm silence spreading across the entire station. For the first time in many days, people from both species walk through the hallways without fear or suspicion. The communication system is stable, the reactor is safe, and the threatening misunderstanding between the humans and Lyra's people has finally ended. Yet inside Aaron's heart, something new has begun. He does not completely understand it, but he knows his life has changed forever. Early in the morning, Yuen wakes up to a soft sound outside his cabin. When he opens the door, he finds a small device glowing with a gentle blue light. A message appears above it, written in both human and alien script. It reads, "You are invited to the Grand Council chamber. Your presence is important." Yuen feels nervous, but he also feels a strange excitement. He has never been invited to the council before, especially not by both species together. He quickly gets ready and walks toward the chamber. As he moves through the hallways, many people greet him warmly. Some nod respectfully. Some simply smile. Even a few aliens give him a gesture of thanks according to their tradition. Touching their hands to their forehead and then extending them forward, Un feels shy but proud. He has never been called a hero, and he still does not think of himself as one. He believes he only did what was necessary. When he reaches the council chamber, the huge doors open slowly. Inside, he sees representatives from both species sitting in a circular arrangement. The room is bright, filled with natural light that filters through the crystal ceiling. At the center stands Lyra, wearing a formal ceremonial robe that flows like liquid silver. She turns toward him and gives a small smile that carries warmth and trust. An stands quietly, unsure what he should do. Lyra walks toward him with calm steps and speaks in a strong voice that echoes across the room. She says, "Today we gather not to discuss conflict, but to honor courage, honesty, and cooperation. We stand here today because one person chose to act with sincerity when others hesitated." Her eyes gently rest on Un. Un feels heat rise in his face. He looks down, embarrassed. He did not expect such attention. Lyra continues, "Many believe bravery is about strength, but true bravery is choosing what is right when no one is watching. You acted with such bravery, from the smallest moments to the greatest challenges." Yuen takes a deep breath and looks up slowly. He sees that everyone in the chamber, humans and aliens, are watching him with respect, not pity or surprise. Lyra steps aside and gestures for him to come forward. Ian hesitates, but then he forces himself to walk to the center of the chamber. When he reaches the middle, Lyra hands him a small crystal that glows softly in his hands. She explains this is a symbol of unity. Only those who help bridge the space between our worlds receive it. We offer it to you with gratitude. Yuen holds the crystal carefully. It feels warm, almost alive, as if it contains a memory inside it. After the ceremony ends, representatives and workers from both species come to him. They shake his hand, thank him, or give him small tokens of appreciation. Ian is overwhelmed, but he tries to respond to each person kindly. He knows that their gratitude is a sign that the long tension between species is slowly fading. Later, when most of the people have left, Yuen finds himself standing alone with Lyra at the center of the chamber. For a moment, neither of them speaks. The room feels peaceful, filled with soft echoes of the earlier applause. Lyra looks at him thoughtfully and says, "You changed more than you realize. Not just the situation, but also the way my people understand yours." Un laughs quietly and says, "I don't know if I changed anything. I just tried to help." Lyra shakes her head firmly. "That is exactly why you made a difference," she replies. They walk out of the chamber together and step onto the observation deck. From there, the stars stretch across the darkness like glittering threads. The planet below glows with soft blue light, its surface covered with oceans and clouds. Una has stood here many times, but today the view feels different. It feels like the beginning of something new. Liara leans on the railing and looks at the horizon. She says, "There is something I must tell you. When I said earlier that I prepared myself for you, I meant it in a way that is important in my culture. My people do not easily trust others. We do not easily show openness. But you earned that openness through your actions." Yuan listens carefully. He remembers the day he first noticed her changed appearance and how confused he felt. Now he understands. It was not about appearance. It was her way of showing trust, something rare and valuable. "I never thought someone like me would matter in diplomacy," Yuan says softly. "I'm just a mechanic." Lyra smiles gently and replies, "Diplomacy does not only belong to leaders or politicians. It belongs to anyone who chooses understanding over fear. That includes mechanics." Yuan feels a warm sense of pride at her words. After a long silence, Liara turns to him and says, "The council has made a decision. They want you to join a long-term program, one that focuses on collaboration between our species. It will require travel, training, and commitment. And," she pauses, "I want you to be part of it." An is surprised. He had never imagined such a path. He looks at the stars again, thinking carefully. The station has been his home for years. But the thought of doing something greater, something meaningful, fills him with excitement. "Do you think I can do it?" he asks her honestly. Liara nods without hesitation. "You do. You have already proven it." Ian takes a deep breath and says, "Then, yes, I'll join." Lyra's expression softens, and for the first time since he met her, she shows a small smile of relief. "I am glad," she says quietly. "We will begin our work soon," as they walk back down the hallway together. The station lights shift from gold to a cool silver, marking the beginning of a new cycle. Workers and diplomats pass by, but this time they do not rush. They feel at ease, knowing the crisis has passed and a new chapter is opening. Ian feels different too. Not because of the attention or the crystal in his hand, but because he finally understands something important, that even small actions can change the course of events. That trust can form between very different beings, and that unity begins with simple honesty. Before Yuan returns to his cabin, Liara stops and says, "One more thing. When you spoke to me the first day, when you said I looked different, you were right. But you did not know then what your words meant to me. They reminded me that connection starts with noticing even the smallest detail." An nods, understanding now what he did not understand before. They part ways at the hallway, each heading toward their own duties. Yet both feel the same sense of purpose growing inside. It is not the end of their journey, it is only the beginning. As Yuan lies down that night, he looks at the glowing crystal one last time before closing his eyes. It shines softly, like a star he can hold in his hand. He feels thankful for the path that brought him here, for the courage he found inside himself, and for the unexpected friendship he built with someone from another world. And with that thought, he drifts into sleep, ready for the adventures that wait for him, knowing he will not face them alone.